All right, welcome to another session. Today we are going to talk about some common questions in interviews, as well as we'll touch on based on time permits. We'll touch on different aspects of questions. So let me share my screen. I'll share the link in the chat as well for you. Here you go. And where is my screen? All right. Cool. So the first kind of questions are like theory questions, and these are things which you need to prepare for. All of the questions on this page are like real interview questions, so you can prepare them for them on your own. You can also use them in practice for your peer interview sessions, and make sure that you have something to say for these questions. Um, All right, exactly. Many of us were looking for. Yeah. It's just that like there was the hackathon sort of made a delay in the plans by 2 days. That's all. But we'll cover that up. We'll just extend the cohort by 2 days. So yeah, we'll instead of ending this week, we'll end next week. So now you have like a roadmap. First type of questions is why you're using X. It could be why React, why TypeScript. So whatever uh, words you throw in your introduction or in your projects, be ready for a follow-up question, why this instead of this. And so yeah, it could be why React, why TypeScript, why Redux, why any tech basically. And what it does, it allows them to see whether you really understand the reason behind using a framework over vanilla JS. So if you say, hey, I've just used TypeScript in one of my projects, and if you're not able to explain, so your answers need not be 100% accurate. But jaise the other person asks, hey, why TypeScript? And you go blank for 2 minutes, it's a very clear indication that you don't understand why you're using it. So make sure use only words, use only frameworks which you're comfortable answering this basic question ki kyun use kiya gaya hai ye. And I've just like shared 3 examples here, but like it could apply to anything that you have used in your introduction or your project. Either you don't say you have used it. If you have used it, be ready for this question. Then the next comes is pros and cons of X. And again, this is sort of like a follow from the first itself. Let's say you use some Bootstrap framework, like let's say you have used Bootstrap or a CSS framework like Bootstrap or Chakra UI or Tailwind. So the a follow-up question you can expect is, why did you use this particular thing and not something else? Another common thing could be Angular versus React versus Vue. And let's go back to the CSS example itself. Let's say the question is, why did you use Tailwind and not something else? Listening to you answering this question, it gives the interviewer a good idea of how long you have been working with this. Like, is it whether you have just started it, just heard about it, just use it in one of your projects, or you know the why behind it, you know things in deep, you understand really why this is being used and how that reflects, how that carries forward in your future day-to-day work is. If you understand the reason behind using a particular technology, you will do the same for future technologies as well. And that is something which they would want. Because technologies come and go. I think you can't really place a bet on whether technology X will be there 5 years later or not. Any word in this page, it's very, any technical framework in this page is very hard to make a bet on whether it will be 5 years down or not. But the underlying concepts remain the same. The underlying reasoning behind, hey, this makes this thing easy and this thing is hard, so we want to make it easy. So those kind of things will always be there. So if you understand that, hey, we use Tailwind because when you did the styling using vanilla, these were the problems you faced, and Tailwind exactly solves for that. As long as you have a difference of as long as you have used both, you should be able to answer this question. And like I said in the previous thing as well, the analysis need not be 100% complete. That is not expected from your, give me a minute. That is not expected from you, that you, I think this is something that you need to let go of. Ki your answers in an interview question need not be 100% correct. As long as you're able to put forward the points with confidence, I think that should be good. Feel free to raise hand. Feel free to interrupt me in between of for anything, because like as we keep going down, my context changes. So if you have any small big doubt in any of these two questions, you can type in the chat, or I would rather prefer you just raise your hand whenever you have a doubt. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll keep going into a monologue. Yeah. Yes, Pratyush.
But yeah, in second question, as it is written, why did you use Tailwind, not something else? So every means like every CSS framework has is almost the same, means almost the same. Some styling is means styling wise there may be difference, but almost the concepts are same. So how can we say ki Tailwind? I use Tailwind because this means.
Give me an example of CSS framework which is similar to Tailwind.
Uh, I have used Material UI.
Okay. So you're saying
For my
Material UI
projects.
and Tailwind are similar?
I don't know about Tailwind. Means I have not worked, but how can we? I'm asking how can, if interviewer asks me this question, then how?
So you have not used Tailwind, right? So they'll not ask
Yeah.
you.
Means I have I said if I say that I have used Material UI, so they can ask why have you used Material UI, not something
So why
else.
did you use it?
Because in reality it was given to me. I learned it and used it.
So that's
But
not a good answer.
yeah, I know. But how to answer this question?
So then you do some research on what are the differences between doing it manually versus using a framework like Material UI. What's the difference with respect to Bootstrap or Chakra UI, or even Tailwind? You'll find that Tailwind provides something else. I don't want to spoon feed you answers, but once you deep dive into things, you'll realize there's a reason for using a particular thing. And the best part is you just need to know about it once. Once you know about it, it's a good time investment to make. So do a quick research on it. You can maybe share your thoughts in the Discord channel. We can basically the idea of this session is to just give you prompts to think about, uh, based on real interview experiences.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Then how X works. So one question we talked about is why X, why not something else? But then the next is how X works, and how React works is a pretty common question. And I think you'll find it in the docs as well, but you should be able to define or talk about it in 2 to 3 minutes ki how React works. So why you use React is different, but how React works. If someone wants to take a shot in the chat, you can just take it now. Because yeah, again, these are real interview questions, so you can just take a shot right now. How React works. The other questions are a bit less asked in front end, but they are also I've seen them asked. How React works is pretty popular, and then the other two are how the internet works, how the browser works. I think this is sort of key. When you type google.com in your browser, what happens? I think just what you need to do is you just need to know something about it once. You don't need to know 100% of it. It's just that it's the difference between just being stuck, not saying anything for 2 minutes, versus saying something. Once you say something, the interview will help you out. So just use this as prompts to study. questions related to CSS position absolute. I think you saw in the mock interview as well. Like a lot of interviews start with CSS questions. All right. Rem versus EM, difference between let constant where. I'm hoping you know these already. Um, just I've just put it here because like just want you to know ki haan, these are not just random things, like these do really get asked in interviews. Explain different React hooks. You must have used uh, use state and use memo, use effect, and there are in the React docs there are like I think a couple more. So just go through them once. And the key thing is different. Uh, if you know just 2 3 versus if you know all, that's like a key advantage. So make sure you at least know all of them. All right. Someone mentioned, okay, virtual DOM. So basically you should be able to explain what a virtual DOM is, what is the benefit of virtual DOM. I think it's best if you, wherever you're making notes, if you just explain in your own words there. So that will be like a good thing for you. If you want to include an example as well, you can just like add it there as well. So it becomes a good reference material for you, just like one day before the interview. Yeah. Then explain promises and async await, why one over other. At any question, if you like feel like कि नहीं ये तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं पता, let me know. I hope like these should sound familiar. They should not be like कि अरे बहुत ही weird questions है. So yeah, I think this should give you confidence as well that these are like things you can answer. Explain promises may typically you are expected to talk about the different states of a promise. I'm hoping you know what are the different possible states, and then why one over the other. This is also important. Event loop is something that is very commonly asked. Explain hoisting. Yeah, I think this gets covered in difference itself. I hope you know this already. Explain CSS cascading. So I'm not sure if you know this already, but maybe you might have to think or just search once. So the full form of CSS is cascading style sheets. So yeah, I think just search for it. You'll get to know. Easy concepts only. It's just like you need to know the technical terms for it. It's just the difference between if someone asks you, hey, what is cascading? You might just not know the technical term, but yeah, it's very likely that you know the concept. But just go through it once. What are smart components, dumb components, pure components? This is also this gets asked in maybe not in the first round, but towards the final rounds. Again, I think this is easy. Like you just need to know it once. It's just terminology. And yeah, pretty much it's somewhat self-explanatory as well. Once you read it, I think you'll understand. Let me just quickly do a pulse check of the room. So we talked about 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 questions till now. I want you to like put a number like this, like x out of 12, which you feel confident answering right now. Again, I'll not like, the chat doesn't get saved, so I'll not note these numbers anywhere. This is just, I want to just get a pulse check of the room. Where do we stand? Like if these are the 12 questions in your interview, how many do you think you will be able to answer fairly correctly? Need not be 100% right, but maybe 70% right. Don't press enter yet. Just do a quick reflection. When you're done with the reflection, maybe give me a emoji reaction in the reactions button. Yeah. All right, I see more than half of your reactions. So just type into the chat and let's see those in 3. Oh, we're doing this after a long time. Let's see those in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, all right. Great to see these numbers. I love this. This gives me confidence ki you are getting closer to being interview ready. These are great numbers. These are like amazing, amazing. All right, we'll move forward to the next set of questions. So this is the theory part. Then comes the coding part. Again, these are all questions which are like real interview questions. Implement debounce. I think this is something we did as a practice exercise as well. Make a reusable button component with style and text passed as props. I think this should be like doable. How to change pointer when we hover over an HTML element, behavior of CSS hover when we open web page in mobile browser. These are just pointers for you to just go and see ki kya hota hai, right? It's okay if you don't know something out of this. It's totally fine. Your component should make an API call, fetch the list from this endpoint. So it's like an open API. It returns a list of repositories, and then you just render that list from an API. So this is just a sort of an interaction with the dynamic API sort of a thing. Whenever, like if you're practicing this, make sure you time yourself, because timing is like real important in an interview setting. Reading the question, you might feel that, hey, it's a very small thing, but when you actually start coding, things might get wrong. It's just about the practice. So just make sure that whenever you attempt these questions, you do it in a timed setting. You time yourself that, hey, this is how much time it took implementing it from start to end, and that should give you a good calibration. All right. Implement custom map function in JS, rotate string pyramid pattern. These are sort of like not DS. Like I would say these are like simple algorithmic questions, like logic questions, I would say. I would not call them that there's like a lot of algorithms involved where you need to know the answer beforehand or the thing beforehand. This is more of like a logical test. Not all companies will have it. Problem solving, yeah. Not all companies will have it, but I think it's good to practice these questions. If you're stuck, again, let's just discuss it in the Discord channels. Sum of digits at even place of a number. I'm just hoping ki as I read them aloud, as I read them out loud, you get a sense of ki हाँ ये ऐसे होगा. In case नहीं होता है, that's totally fine. We have time to practice this. Don't worry. Recursion solution to finding a factorial. This is something sort of you need to know. This is not something that you can come up at the spot. So this is something you can come up at the spot. This is something you come. This is something that you need to know, and I think this is something just ek baar dekh lo program. Like there's nothing you can't really avoid this. Like this is something just ko pad lo. Whatever questions are here, make sure you complete 100% of them. Write a program to replicate map function without using map. Find running frequency of consecutive numbers. So if the input is A, B, 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 A, the output is A 2 times, B 3 times, then A 1 time. If the input is 1 1 1 1 3 3 3, output is 4 times 1 and then 3 times 3. So yeah, yes, Athar.
Yeah, so what is the difference between implement custom map function in JS and write a program to replicate map function without using map?
Yeah, I think these are just two ways of saying the same thing.
Okay.
All right. Convert value to ASCII code. Add something to, again, add some number to it and convert back to normal. So you just need to know the functions of how the conversion takes place there. Find the most frequent character from character array and print it. So you have to like count this. Just to note it again is like these are not like very, very algorithmic heavy. So don't worry about these things. It's just that basic logical things are something it just gives the other person a confidence that you can think logically, which is sort of fair as well. So yeah. Looking in the kitne question hai? 1 2 3 4 6 10, 12, again 12, we'll do a reflection again. X by 12, we'll do a reflection. Don't press enter yet. Problem solving. Glad someone said it, not to feel guilty. I had to look at some programs. So abhi wahi hai na ki it's about ideal world is something that of course we want to get there, but I think like 100% idealistic is also something that does not work. So we have to like sort of modify things according to how the world runs currently. But yeah, not to feel guilty. Yeah, I think there are some programs that you need to know. These are something that you cannot figure it out on your own. But once you look at it, most likely you'll understand it. Like writing a polyfill for map. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's do a reflection X by 12. Let's see the answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. All right. All right. I think the average is like a little less than the last one, but I think it is like again on the higher side, which I am super happy about personally. Like I was sort of worried about a little bit worried about ki, okay, how will the session go? But I think yeah, you folks are pretty much good to go. Cool. Let's keep moving. Uh, advanced is something that I've just sort of put down some things here. These are some things that you'll not be asked in any so there are some like different things, right? There are like either just it depends on basically it is as simple as like, are you targeting higher LPA jobs or not? So basically it's like an advanced level of interview. If you know these things, you will sort of fare better in the interviews where you are pitching yourself for a higher CTC. And again, you don't need to know all of this, because as soon as you come and say, hey, I know all of this, I'll add 10 more things to it. Okay. So there's no point of like just worrying about ki, hey, I will know everything that is in the doc. It's a ever evolving doc. So yeah, just make sure that it just gives you an idea of what the kind of things to expect. And again, I don't expect you to like know everything here. Even if you know a few things here, I think good to go. You can always say to the other person that, hey, I don't know this. That's totally fine. So React Server Component, Tailwind, Service Worker, cursor-based pagination is like if you know this, then I think this is super awesome. Difference between SQL, NoSQL databases. If you know this, good. If you don't, then I think now is not the time to know this. I would rather have you focus more on the fundamentals. Regular expression, again, this is either you know it or you don't know it. Don't start learning now. Preprocessors, how can you improve web performance? I think this is something that if you have time, maybe you can explore this. Improving web performance, how to take care of accessibility, critical rendering path, microtask queue, caching headers, cores. Cores is something, again, I would like sort of want you to read up on. I think you might have already faced cause issue while building projects. So yeah, so this is 8, 10, 13. We'll do a quick reflection again. X by 13. Can we get a range of higher CTC? I think anything above like 7 around, I think that would sort of require you to know some things in this. Yeah. As per the current market, the market keeps changing. Yeah. Let's do a quick reflection. X by 13. I'm already expecting like there will be like some zeros, some ones, some twos here. This is just to how do I put it? We can not do this reflection. I think that's fine. You can just like one way you can keep it. I don't want you to put it out publicly. That's fine. You can DM me basically. I think that should be fine. Just click on my name. Then instead of everyone, it will change it to direct message to me, and just you can send it now. I'll do a quick. Okay, I've started seeing responses. Yes, folks, continue. All right. Yeah, I think all answers are like less than 50%, which is cool. Lot of twos, lot of threes. Yeah. I think the median is like 2.5. Yeah, cool. I just wanted to know I wanted to understand that the number of topics is never ending, right? So don't think कि अरे ये भी कर लेंगे, because as soon as, like I already said, right, as soon as you do all of this, all things mentioned here, I'll add like 10 more things. So it's not like that. It's just key, if you have time, use this as a direction to, like, you can learn more वैसा. And even after you get a job, you can still, like, maybe explore 1 or 2 topics every week, something like that. So any questions before we move into the final section? Yes, Athar.
Yeah, so far we haven't, come across a question around this. So is it not important for us or hello?
Can you repeat?
So far we have not come across a question around this keyword. So
Okay.
should we skip it or we should still know it?
नहीं, you should know it. मतलब why मतलब. So do you mean like in this document?
Yeah, in this document
So
we
this
can.
document is not an exhaustive list of questions, right? This is just like a dump of the questions. Like this does not mean कि जो इसमें है वही करना है, जो इसमें नहीं है वो नहीं करना है. Just use it as a direction, as a calibration of where you stand. Yeah. Like I
Okay.
can name like 20 more things which are not in this doc. Like a simple thing would be like the CSS box model. It's not there in this doc, right? But if you don't know the difference between padding and margin, it's very unlikely that you'll clear the interview. All right. I thought this keyword only, right? What were you asking, Athar?
Yeah, this keyword.
Yeah, cool. Any more questions before we move into the final section? Yes, Rishabh.
So yeah, we have seen like this is a very good list and they are very commonly occurred questions. But as you also said that interview is kind of very unpredictable. I mean, outcome is very unpredictable, right? So we have seen with our peers experiences with interviews that there were lots of coding questions which were unpredictable actually. So how to actually handle them? Like they can ask to make some random component. For example, we were practicing and somebody asked to make CSS pie chart or something. So these are very unpredictable questions, and it takes for unpredictable question the approach would take long and hence the coding also. So I mean, how to manage this and what are the chances that these kind of questions and unpredictable kind of questions, the ratio of them?
So I'll quickly first give you context on why this is the case. The success metric of an interviewer, like if I'm taking the interview, my success metric would be to ask you a question which you have never encountered before. If you have encountered it before, I know, like by the way you solve, even if you think you can pretend, you cannot. Like I know by your approach that this is something you have seen before. If you have seen it before, I'll not mark you on that question, irrespective of whether you how fast you solve it, or how how cleverly you try to say कि नहीं मैं तो पहली बार देखा ये, and like I'm making the solution on the go. It becomes clear to the interviewer. मतलब interviewer का काम ही यही, right? They have taken like hundreds of interviews, so it's very easy to spot. So coming back to the success metric is to put you in a stressful situation, in a situation which you have never encountered before. And why is that? Is because as developers, we or you are required to be able to handle uncertainties well. And that is sort of the success metric of the interview, which is when things don't go according to your plan, when you encounter a new bug or new error, how well you navigate through it. The thing to note, the thing to keep in mind is they're not looking for 100% correct solution. They're just looking for your approach. And it's the other way around, actually. If you get to the solution very fast, it's very likely that you know it before. But if you are honest about your approach, and the other person gives you hints, you take them up, you progress, you'll just, the interview will just mark you on ki, hey, this person takes feedback well, he or she has a good thought process, and you were able to progress from one point to another point during that interview time. So let me put it this way, any good company or any good interviewer will ask you new questions. You can't really prepare for that. It is good that you get asked new questions, actually, because in that shows the interviewer is also putting in more effort to vet you. If like I've seen interviewers just open Geeks for Geeks or like some website on their laptop, and when you say they just like read out the question and then they ask you, and pretty much then they are just sort of there because they're forced, and they're not really invested in hiring as such. So yeah, all those cases, coming to the core thing again, it's good that the interviewer asks you new questions. You can't really prepare for everything. um, uh, a set of guiding questions like this is just meant to help you calibrate on where do you stand. So जैसे you can see कि हाँ, in this section theory wise, hey, you need maybe to deep dive on some things, or let's say coding wise you're good to go. Maybe advanced you have some topics left to uncover. So that's just that, and questions will keep on coming. New questions is that is the cat and mouse game, right? Which is called interviewing. Like if you know all the questions beforehand, then though you'll solve only, right? So yeah, but after a point, once you solve enough questions from this, from your peer interviews, once you start having real interviews as well, I think uh, that confidence comes in pretty quickly, that hey, I can handle anything. Need to work on acting skills. I'll just sort of like put a disclaimer here. It is very hard to pull it off, and I'm putting it out upfront so that you don't invest time in that. You might think, Kerry, it is like, I will do this. I've seen many of my friends super great with people, but yeah, interviewer ko pata chal jata hai. So yeah, don't try to invest there. I would rather have you like tell upfront ki, hey, I know this question already. Yeah. Cool. Any more questions before we move to the final section? All right, we have one hand. Any other hands? Now's the time to raise. Yes, Simon, go for it.
Nice, Atul. So there's no machine coding round questions, right, in this document?
We'll practice that tomorrow. Yeah, that was the other thing that was pending. Yeah. Cool. All right, let's go to the final section. Cool. So now we go to the behavioral round of questions. It's looks easy, but it's not. And most likely it's hard to mess up this round, honestly, but the more you're prepared, the better it is. And basically, if you have cleared all tech rounds, you don't want to get out at this stage, right? So it's just good that you put some effort into it. The first question that you have in any this could be like a different round altogether. It could also be asked at the end of any of your technical rounds. And one common thing is, hey, why do you want this job, this role, this company? And here, this is important. And um, how do you prepare for that is you basically research about the company, you Google for it, you check out the presence on social media. If there is any news article, then you read through it and at least know what the company does, and have some context on the offerings that it has. um, yeah, and you also need to sort of spend some time thinking about what appeals the most to you in that particular company. Is it the money? Is it the brand value? Is it the culture? Is it the product? All are valid answers. Like some, if you go and say, ki, hey, I like this because of the culture, whatever you have seen out on social media, or the product really interests you. Let's say it's a fintech or a healthcare product, whatever. The product is something that you're really interested in. Uh, Whether you like the brand value this company provides, whether you like the money. I think as long as you are clear on what you want out of the role, the other person understands that, hey, okay, this person is interested in this. When you, I think all point of all these questions is just so that you're not stumped on any of these questions. If you don't answer anything, that might be taken as a signal of disinterest, that hey, you're just spamming multiple companies and you're not really invested in any particular thing. You're just sort of spraying and praying, and which also means ki, hey, maybe you will not even end up joining it because you are not really interested in it in the first place. So again, this is important because like we talked in one of the previous sessions, we talked about like energy is limited, right? Our energy, our attention, everything is limited. So when you have researched about a company, you're also signaling that hey, I cannot do this for infinite number of companies, right? If I have chosen to spend time researching you, then you're sort of more important, Vesa. So it just gives you that signal. Um, the exact answer doesn't matter as much as you being prepared with an answer. Um, like I said before as well, behavioral questions, it's very hard to like get wrong. Unless like you will come off as rude, that is different. But yeah, it's less likely, you're less likely to mess this up. Just think of the questions before going in. All right. Um, Next is strengths and weaknesses is something again like a common question, and uh, this is more to check your self-awareness. The the point to note here, which I want to emphasize on, key, don't don't cover your weaknesses by a mask of strength. Ki bhai, I work too hard. Like yes, don't try to like. You get the point, right? You don't say weaknesses which are not real weaknesses. Um, let me like maybe let's do a exercise. Let's do it right now. Let's take 2 minutes and let's write one strength and one weakness in the chat. Don't press enter yet. One strength and one weakness will take 2 minutes. Maybe we'll take 3 minutes and then we'll just discuss. Yeah. All right, let's type in the chat and let's see those answers. Will take 10 seconds. Strength, I see one. Let's do in the same message, let's do S and W both. If you want, you can type somewhere else and then just copy paste here. And let's see those answers in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Strength, I can be very focused in positive pressure. What's a positive pressure, Tushar?
It's like a kind of like we are going to launch something, so it's a pressure to create something new, and it's not and it's kind of deadline is approaching, so it's kind of I feel I give it a word like positive pressure. So we are like if we are launching something, so it's kind of positive thing, and at the same time the deadline is near, so it's kind of pressure to us to the developer.
So this is positive pressure, right?
Yeah. So
What's a negative pressure? Give me an example of a negative pressure.
so actually, like if I'm handling some of my managers' work, or like usual. So actually, I cannot able to differentiate. Just saying that I can work focused in pressure. So
Yeah. I think this is a good strength. Focused in pressure. Weaknesses, multiple goals can slow my pace. So this is a very real weakness. I think there's nothing like I like this weakness. This is a real weakness. Yeah, it's not like wrapped up in a strength. Like it's not fake. It's a real weakness. All right. Strength, happiness. Weakness, anger. Okay. Thoda I need to elaborate. This will not fly. Weakness, procrastinate doing things I don't like. This is a very real weakness. Strength is stand by the responsibility undertaken. All right. Strength is communication, weakness is procrastination. All right. Strength will not get up until done. Weakness cannot adapt easily to changes. I think again a very real weakness. I like that you got the point. Strength, good design sense. Weakness, struggle to articulate. Again, both are nice. Things about just want to point it out here. Key. If you write a real weakness, your strength is also sort of it also shows that your strength is also real. Like if you write a weakness which is like just random, then it also puts a question on whether the strength you have written is random or not. But in this case, when you write, hey, this is my weakness, so when you say this is your strength, that also comes off as very genuine. Does it make sense? All right. Strength, dedication, and leadership. Okay. Weakness, too detail oriented, impatience, and too direct. All right. Strength is focus, weakness, procrastination. I think we're a group of procrastinators here. Strength, fast learner, very adaptive, articulative, problem solving mind. Weakness, perfectionist. Because of this, I end up spending more time than it should. But from my recent projects, I reach deadlines on time. So yeah, it's improving. All right. Right to learn, strength, weakness, communication, and working on that to improve my communication skills. So when you say working on that to improve my communication skills, right, this does not give me any information. Either you be specific, this is how I am working on improving. Otherwise I can just copy and paste in every weakness, right? Let's say किसी का ऊपर एक था weakness कि multiple goals can slow down my pace. I'll just write कि I'm working on that to improve this. So it is not specific, right? If it is generic, then don't do it. Strength, urge to learn new stuff. All right. Weakness, I get nervous at pressure at times. All right. Strength, like to learn new things, get absorbed easily in things. Weakness, hard to maintain a routine for long. Strength, hardworking. Weakness, overthinking. Strength, curious about knowing things deeply. Weakness, procrastination. Strength, I can overcome obstacles, get things done. Weakness, sometimes I can take on more than I can do. Strength, flexible. Weakness, work over personal life. Why is this a weakness, work over personal life?
Like, I think I am bad at like time management. Sometimes I work over
So
time.
work over personal life when you're talking to the HR, why will the HR think this is a weakness?
No, for me, it's a weakness. Like sometimes,
This is a weakness disguised as you're telling ki, hey, I'll prioritize your work over my personal life, right? So in that case, the HR is more likely to sort of, malab, I get that it's a personal weakness, but in the context of the HR or the interviewer, you're sort of positioning it as a strength, right? Ki, hey, I'll work more for you, even over my personal life.
yeah.
So this maybe you can reword it better. But yeah, I think the weakness should be something that like they can say no, ki, haan, because of this weakness we cannot hire you, right? But if you say ki, hey, I'll prioritize your work over my personal life, I don't think like majority of people will hire you. They would like even give you a promotion ki, haan, this is that's what you want. So yeah. All right, strength flexible, okay. Strength good grasping, quick learner. Weakness spending too much time on phone for procrastinating. I like how specific this is ki phone pe time spent ho raha hai, which is relatable. Strength very stubborn about my decisions I take, so if I've decided to complete a task, then I'll pour my 100% to complete that task. Weakness, find it very difficult to say no to others. All right, cool. Yeah, I think pretty like similar comment like the last one, which is key when you say this as a weakness, this is sort of disguised as a benefit for the employer, right? Key the employer does not want you to say no, right? But in the sense if they, so what you have put as a strength, right? Key if you decide to complete, you'll give your 100% to complete it, and then you're saying ki, hey, I also find it difficult to say no. So when your boss or your manager or your peers, they give you some task and you cannot say no and you'll complete it as well. So everything is like strength only, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's a weakness for me on my
It's a personal weakness, right? It's a very similar weakness as ki, hey, I'll put work over personal life. Like nobody, okay, let me reframe it. Most companies, ideally they should consider this as a weakness, but in the current realistic scenario, most companies want you to get more work done, right? So in that case, I understand this is your weakness, but in the context of when you're saying ki, hey, this is my weakness, this does not come off as ki, is this a real weakness or not? Because the other person does not care about this, right? But in the sense ki unka to kaam ho raha hai, right? But when you say procrastination is something ki acha unka kaam delay ho raha hai. So then they will really listen ki acha, okay, this is a weakness. All right. Cool. Let me share my screen again. All right. So what are strengths and weaknesses? Be real. I work too hard is not a real weakness. Yeah. So this is what, right? So when you say I work too hard, this is also, you can count it as a weakness, right? But from a company perspective, they'll say, we want you. So you can, when you're talking about weakness, you can mention initiatives to improve. But when you mention initiatives, like be specific. Don't just say I'm working on it. Either don't say anything or be very specific. Mention strength with an example. Yeah, this is something that I think we did not do in the chat, which is if you're saying ki, hey, I'm ready to learn, I'm a fast learner, add that, hey, I learned this in this time. Or when you say, hey, I'm focused, then give me an example ki, acha, you are focused in this. When you say ki, hey, my strength is leadership, tell me that you have led a team project somewhere. When you say I have a good design sense, like give me proof of your strength, right? So someone said will not get up until done. So like give me like when was the last time this happened? So the more specific you are, I think that's what interview is all about. The more specific you are, the more confidence the other person has in your whatever you're saying. So These are some of the strengths we can use if you relate to it. Quick learner, adaptability, hardworking, flexibility, persistent, self-motivated. Mention an example with a strength. That is a good thing to do. All right. Any questions here before we move to the next thing? All right. Next is talk about a challenge you have faced before. This is this is something that if you are prepared with it, that's better. It will be very hard for you to come like make it up on the spot, make it up as in like articulate it on the spot. So if you have like noted it down before, it becomes easier to talk about it. It could be anything like it could be like any challenge you faced in your projects which you sort of maybe spent a sleepless night over and you fixed it the next day. um, you just want to show how do you solve problems, how do you work under stress, pressure, maybe there was a deadline for a submission, how do you get things done, and you can talk about how you overcame it, what it taught you. Some pointers, again, like you don't need to like answer all of these things, and just a prompt key in your notes, just like add a couple of scenarios so you have some things to talk about if such kind of question comes before you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Not it's not that the other person is like expecting a well formed answer here. It's just can you prepared for this question or not, and you can just extrapolate what interests you right now. Let's say if you are interested by like web technologies, you can just talk about, hey, you want to explore more of that, maybe lead a team if that's what interests you. If leading a team does not interest you, then you can just talk about, hey, I want to grow individually as a senior developer in this space, in this domain, and they just want to just check whether your long-term goal align with this role. For example, let's say if you say, hey, I want to start up of my own, like I want to start something of my own 5 years later, then they'll just sort of see how your long-term goals can align with the company goals. And let's say if you want to like do an MBA or whatever, like basically just like do a reflection of, do you have some plans for the next 5 years, and then you can base an answer out of it. And yeah, the company will most likely align your goals with them. Yeah. Do you have any questions for me? Is something that like that's how typically interview usually ends. Ideally, I would say don't say no, because it might sound like you're not interested in the job or you simply don't care. You can ask a bunch of things. You can ask something like, if you're interested about that role, you can ask something like, what will a typical day look like in this role? Or if you want to become more specific, you can also ask, what does your typical day look like? And because the first answer to the first question, they might not know it exactly, but it's easier to answer what does their day look like. So you get just an idea of how work gets done here. If you've read any particular news about the company, you can ask something around that. It also sort of ties in with this question. Let's say if this question has not been asked to you, and if you ask something about the company, it shows that you have done your research. And okay, I think we iterated this point a few minutes back, which is your time energy is limited. So if you took out time to research, you must be interested in that role. That is what you want to communicate, that, hey, I have the tech skills, I'm interested in your company. These are two things that you want to communicate. Other questions you can ask, what are the different career paths here? What's the favorite part about working here? Almost anything is better than like, not asking anything. So yeah, people like to talk about themselves. So just like ask something. If you have like a couple of questions ready, so you can like pick any random one of that should work. Why should we hire you? This is something that it is mostly to stump you. because again, they're not looking for like right answers. There's no right answer here. Why should we hire you? It's just that it's just a check of your self-confidence. As soon as someone, like, just imagine this in the interview, someone asks you, hey, why should we hire you? And if you just go in like, 2 minutes, you're quiet, it just sort of shows that, hey, maybe you're not self-confident. And um as long as you can just sort of articulate your experiences that, hey, the JD matches my skills, and you want to explore this career option, and talk about one of your strengths. So sort of like you can make an answer out of that. Again, emphasizing all of these questions, there's no perfect answer here. अगर कोई perfect answer होता तो we would have put here कि yellow answer. It's just about you have thought about this thing or not, and you just don't get stuck कि 2-3 मिनट हो गए तुमने कुछ बोला ही नहीं. That's all you want to avoid. Otherwise, you will be good to go. Don't come off as like very humble or desperate here. मतलब like don't say कि नहीं नहीं दे दो मेरे को जॉब दे दो, मतलब like it's like you don't want to sound desperate, and you don't need to be humble as well. You can brag about stuff here. This is an invitation to brag about you. Like maybe not all other questions are. Maybe strengths is also an invitation, but this is definitely an invitation to brag about yourself. So you don't need to be cautious about what you're saying. You can brag. That's fine. You don't need to be humble here. Can maybe tell some stories around what makes you different. Like if you can link something from your introduction to something that you have learned over time, you can maybe add something there. Yeah, so that's something like you can just like work on this for some time, just come up with something. In case you have work experience, this is the first question that you will get asked, which is why are you switching? Like you'll not get an offer before they get an answer to this question, ki why you are switching. And the reason behind this is, if they don't understand why you are switching and you switch to them, you'll again switch back in 2 months, and they don't know what was not there in the current company which we can provide. If they don't know it, very likely they'll not extend an offer. So you need to be very clear on why you are switching. It could be something that you did not like in your previous team. It could be your team, your peers, your manager, maybe the company itself, or maybe the work that you were doing, maybe the brand value, maybe the product itself, the culture, money, whatever. Like, you need to have a very clear reason of why you are switching. I think this is something like, if you have had work experience, in the onboarding call, one-on-one call that you might have had with me, I would have also asked you this only key, hey, why are you switching? So just double down on that, have a clear reason. Don't come off as you are making a reason then and there. Ideally, you should have this answer nailed down. This is why I'm switching. If you have work experience, this is only if you have work experience. What kind of work are you expecting? So this is something, most likely you'll be turning your Figma layouts into functional components. The HR might briefly explain about different teams, ask if you have a preference. Again, not a deal breaker. I think you can like handle these things on the fly. Just sort of like putting it out there so that you know ki this type of questions can come. What if a project which you're working on gets shared? How will you approach that? Again, like have something, just give a thought on this. How will you approach that? If nobody is able to answer your queries at the moment, how will you manage then? Not very, again, don't need to like prepare like full answers right now, but just sort of think of this type of question, scenario based questions. If they come, you don't want to like just be quiet. I think that is the only thing you want to take away from this behavioral section of questions, which is you don't want to like sound very surprised and like arey kya pooch liya ye. So you need to like answer. You should not like just be quiet for 2 minutes. That is all you want. As long as you do that, you should be good to go. Any questions in this section? Yes, right.
So like, can there be a question, like why are you switching streams? For example, I graduated as bioengineer and now I'm into like coding. So bio and coding is like very different from each other. So can there be questions on that as well?
Yeah. Are you including this in your introduction?
Yeah.
If you're
Because-
including it, then definitely expect follow-up questions.
Okay.
Cool. Tushar says, can we ask about negative news about the company? Don't like, why do you want to get associated with that? Yeah, try to avoid it. Okay, X by 10, let's do a quick reflection. Yes, Harshna.
Not to mention about my experience during the one-on-one call. So how do I go about that?
Ek minute, can you repeat?
Like you told me not to mention my experience during a one-on-one call. So
Mhm.
how do I go about that because of the pay?
So it's like you don't need to mention it upfront. If they ask, of course, you should not lie. It's just that if the follow-up question does not help a lot in your candidature, so you don't need to tell it upfront. But yeah, if they ask you directly, then you should tell. Don't make new problems for yourself. It's just that introduction is a time wherein you are leading the conversation. So put your best foot forward. If you know कि हाँ इसके follow-up से कोई फायदा नहीं है, तो yeah, you can sort of not say that upfront. All right, let's do a quick reflection in the chat. X by 10, let's see those answers. How, like, out of these questions, how many do you already have an answer? That is your X, and other things you'll sort of get ready for. So let's see those numbers in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, I see super high numbers. Awesome. Cool. So, all right, let me quickly share the last thing. All right, you have some resources at the end of this doc. You don't need to go them in order, just like open them all, just see which sort of which are the ones that you like. There are some questions, like there are some JavaScript questions here. There's an online test here. Like these are just like questions for practice. Again, like never ending. Like if you say, hey, I've done all, I'll give you 10 more things. So, but yeah, I think we just want to like give you some direction of use these things for practice. For example, this tweet has like some concepts that are typically, I think the same concepts you'll find at the top as well. Then I think this doc has some coding questions, and then there are some JavaScript quiz questions. I think once you go through them, you'll also build some self-confidence ki you're putting in the reps, getting those right answers. Okay, नहीं, so 1,000 questions नहीं करने. These are just कि हाँ, मतलब you don't come and say कि भैया कुछ करने को ही नहीं है. So like that is like कि I should have given this 2 days back, but yeah, I think 2 days I was out. So yeah. Cool. Any final questions before we wrap up this session? Do you have a good direction of क्या करना है free time में? How confident do you feel after today's session? Okay, let me rephrase the question. How nervous do you are for your interviews that will be starting very, very soon? Yesterday तो बहुत ही like zero information. Less than yesterday क्या करूँ मैं? Give me a number, no? अच्छा रुको अरे रुको नहीं. Hey, 6 नहीं चलेगा ये. Like either give me like above 8 or give me below this. Like this is what like a क्या बोलते हैं? It's a diplomatic answer. ठीक है. Let's see those numbers in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. All right. ठीक है, let's continue on that. One major thing that we need to do like a proper practice is machine coding round. We'll either do that today, not today. We'll either do that tomorrow or on Monday. And one thing that I want to do is behavioral ke just put down the your answers to them. Let's do a peer. Let's do a peer. Whenever we do the next peer interview session, let's just focus on behavioral questions so that you get comfortable answering them. And what else? I think then we'll continue with the machine coding round, and then I think we are almost at the end of the cohort. Cool. Any final questions before we wrap this up? All right, I see 2 hands. Now is the time to raise. Baat mein you'll not get the chance. Harshna, go for it.
It's a personal question. So always during a live session or kind of thing, I get stuck. So can you suggest something that could help?
Live sessions ka to wahi hai, like do more peer interviews.
But it doesn't happen during peer interviews.
Then which session?
Like the session that I had with Yash or the hackathon, and I had one more similar session outside. So
Got it. Let me work on that. We'll do a bunch of more sessions around, like basically higher pressure than peer interviews. Let me work on.
Okay, but during my work, I have a lot of pressure. I continuously work on deadlines, but it doesn't happen then.
Basically, you're attached to outcomes.
Okay.
So you need to. हमने किया था ना एक session Saturday morning को. You need to do that session again. Do you remember? You remember we did some activities?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, you need to do those more. Let's do it this Saturday.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool. So you want to get in with zero expectations कि नहीं चाहिए मुझे यहाँ से job तभी मिलेगा job. It's very counterintuitive, but yeah.
I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Cool. Raz?
Yeah.
Hey.
Ask.
Can't hear you. Can you repeat?
Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
Hey. Yes.
Yeah, so I was asking that can't we switch back to old session timings, 6 p.m.
Okay. Let's discuss it. Let me stop recording. Then let's discuss it. Chalo. Cool. I'll see you next time.